Faith, to be faith, must center around something that is not known. Faith, to be faith, must go beyond that for which there is confirming evidence. Faith, to be faith, must walk to the edge of the light and then a few steps into the darkness. It is hard to build faith in the noonday sun. When the night is dark and the clouds are thick, we have an opportunity to put our hand in the Lord's hand and rely on Him to help us through. Most of us naturally long for security and clarity in life, but there must be some uncertainty to allow us to use our agency and grow. Dan and Helen Brandt learned early in life how to put their hand in the Lord's hand and walk forward into a future filled with uncertainty.
I met Helen on a blind date 6 months before my mission, and we dated until I left. While on my mission, we wrote letters together. It was then that I determined to return and marry this beautiful woman. When I asked Helen to marry me, she asked me for how long. Of course, I said forever. Little did I know at that time that we would test that promise.
I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 16. I had my first replacement surgery at 23 years old, and another 4 replacements just 5 years later. Tendon repairs, fusions, more replacements, and revisions would shortly follow. In November of 2002, I wrote in my journal, "My knee doctor was able to work something out, so December is when I'll have my knees done. I'm glad that it will be done before the end of the year. I went to my rheumatologist last Wednesday. Looks like I'll be changing my medicine again. I'll be doing a shot every day."
Although I was aware of Helen's arthritis when we got married, I doubt that I could have prepared for what the next 2 decades would bring. We would watch our younger brothers and sisters having babies, uncertain if that would ever happen for us. I wondered if I would ever teach someone to ride a bike or catch a ball. Would I ever share the stars or have someone dance on my toes? I wrote in my journal, Helen told me she wants to go home. I think she means to Heavenly Father. Sometimes she feels bad for me. We promised each other never to mention divorce and determined that it was just not an option. Do I break my promise because her body is broken? Is this about money or affection? The truth is, when I stand before my God looking at Helen with her resurrected body and account for my choices, how much of my complaining will really matter?
Can't find my way, but I learned how to rely on the burning light.
I've discovered that you learn things when you pray for those you love, when they hurt and there's nothing that you can do about it. You learn about yourself when you plead to your God. You learn even more as your prayers continue from month to month, year to year, for decades.
I've thought a lot about how the scriptures say that we need to be willing to submit to what the Father sees as necessary. The word for me is willing. When you submit willingly, it means that you have faith that our Heavenly Father knows what's best, and that He loves us and would not make us suffer any longer than is necessary. If I understood it all, I guess I wouldn't need faith. I think that the very act of submission without understanding is a great act of faith. How often do we run around wringing our hands to the futile song of why, instead of holding them in the act of humility and asking, what am I to learn?
I don't know all the twists and the turns, but my journey is clear. I'm a child of infinite worth. There's a reason I'm here. I'll follow the path that's before.
I have learned that sometimes the biggest test of faith is just putting our desires and understanding aside to allow the will of the Lord to be the governing factor of our schooling. It is then after our trials, when the rays of light brighten our understanding, that we can see how His tender hand has and does rest upon us.